It's a Dish with Deeva Show. Here she is, the one and only K-Cee Diva.
Hey, what up, peeps? Your girl K-Cee Diva here. Welcome to another edition of Dish with Diva. So glad to be here. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm really excited about my special guest tonight. He's just a talented musician and works with other talented musicians. And I love to highlight, as you know, on the show, I'm a music lover, so I love to highlight local artists, national artists, all artists in between. I love to talk about them on the show. And so I want to introduce to you the very talented Mr. Jeremy Shanok. He's with the Jazz Lizzards. You may be familiar with them. Jeremy, welcome to Dish with Diva. Nice. I love it. I love it.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show.
And folks, you're in for a special treat because a little bit later, Jeremy's going to play some tunes for us. So I'm really excited about that. So yeah, let's dive on in, Jeremy. So I found you guys on IG, as I do a lot of the folks that I talk to. Social media is great for that networking. And
yeah.
I saw you guys and I was like, wait, they're local. And
Yeah.
so I did some digging and pulled up some videos and some music of you guys, and it's just so much fun to watch perform and just to listen to. I was like, I gotta get him on the show and talk a little bit about it. So tell me about the Jazz Lizzards. How'd you guys come together?
Well, when I moved to Seattle about I'm losing track, about 8 years ago, I went to the Owl and Thistle. It's on Post Alley.
Yeah.
And it was like the first week I moved there. And Eric Verlinde is a great piano player, and he leads the jam there. Him and Jose Martinez, a great drummer. They've been doing it for years. And I saw this amazing jazz band, and I just thought, I was playing a lot of drums. I play different instruments, but at the time I was strictly like, I'm going to be a jazz drummer, you know? And I said, if I'm going to get good at jazz drums, I need to come here. And I've been to college and did jazz in college, but I'm like, I'm gonna make this my college. I'm gonna come here every week, Tuesday nights at the Owl and Thistle, and I'm gonna make this like my school of jazz. And I would go every week and play there, and just kind of like meeting all the musicians that were there. And at the same time, I was writing jazz songs. So when it came time to record my album about 3 years ago, I called these amazing musicians. They're all better than me, but luckily I can call them my friends, and they came to the studio, and Eric Verlinde on piano and Isaac Castillo on bass. I think he's in Hawaii right now.
Oh, lucky him.
Yeah, definitely. And Jory Tyndall on alto sax and flute, and Darian Asplund on tenor sax and flute, and Ari Joshua on guitar, great guitar player, and Jacques Willis on vibes. And these are all people I kind of met through that scene, and they came to Studio Litho with me. Mm-hmm. And this is about 3 years ago. We recorded the album, and then like COVID happened right when we were going to release it. So I released it anyway, just like digitally and stuff. But finally a few months ago, when things briefly started chilling out a little bit, we had a CD release party at the Owl and Thistle, and we've got this CD.
You got the CD.
The Jazz Lizzards.
Now, how'd you come up with the name? Who came up with the name?
I don't even remember the reasons why it happened or anything, but I used to live in San Francisco, and I would play with different musicians in San Francisco. A good friend of mine, Justin Pertel, and Will Razad. We had a jazz trio, and we had a steady gig at the Stanford Court Hotel.
Oh.
And somehow I started calling that the Jazz Lizzards, but then I didn't use the name for about 5 years or something. But then when I recorded this album, I wanted to stick with the name. I thought it sounded funny or something. It's like there are certain people in the jazz scene that it's kind of like a condescending term. I think like that guy plays like a lizard. Maybe that's where it comes from.
Oh, really?
It's kind of an obscure thing. Like only like jazz cats would know or something like. I don't know if people would say a jazz lizard, but like he's like a lizard, or I don't even know if this is a thing or this is just what me and my friends would say. But I thought it was funny anyway. Just like we're the jazz.
I love
lizards.
it. I like it, jazz lizards. It just kind of rolls off your tongue, and I like the little lizard. You know,
yeah.
You doing your promos and stuff. I think that's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it works. So tell me a little bit about you know, I know you said, you know, you did also do jazz drums. Do you have any, like, were there anyone that it really influenced you? You know, anyone we would recognize, you know, maybe famous people that, you know, you're like kind of saw like, hey, you know, how'd you become interested in that whole jazz scene?
How much time do we have? Well, I mean, you know, so many great. This is the thing about jazz. It's like anybody who's really into jazz is just like could name hundreds of influences, and it's like that thing where the one thing leads to the other thing. When it came to recording this album, I definitely had Miles Davis in mind, and his famous album "Kind of Blue," where he and I'm not trying to compare myself to Miles Davis in any way.
Sure, yeah.
Just as an inspiration, you know, he went in the studio and he got good musicians, and they didn't know what they were going to record, and it was just little sketches of songs. And I really stuck to that for this album. I kind of insisted that we didn't practice. You know, they're like, when are we going to rehearse for this thing? We're recording an album this weekend. And I'm like, we're not rehearsing, you know? So we just went in the studio. I gave him the music, and we came up with quick arrangements. Everything's like usually like a second take, you know, maybe the tune and be like, oh, hold on a second. Maybe you should take the first solo or something. Just like a quick arrangement. And I really wanted to capture that spontaneity. So, yeah, you know, Miles Davis in terms of how I went about this album. But I mean, I could go on and on about influences for drums.
Lots of different folks.
Yeah, I love, as a drummer, I love all the guys: Elvin Jones, Max Roach.
Yeah.
Rock drummers, Ringo. You know, like John Bonham. All different types of music, all different types of instrumentalists. I go on and on. All the saxophone players are great. John Coltrane.
Let's see. Hey, Anthony. Anthony says Miles is every jazz lover's inspiration.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I hear that name when you talk about jazz. Miles is you know, one of those top of the list kind of people.
Yeah, you know, these guys invented it all. You know, and anyway, and I'm more inspired. I mean, not more inspired. Just Seattle has so many great musicians. There's like every week there's 3 jazz jams. You know, there's like Sunday night they do a thing at Daryl's up in Shoreline, and I think it's Monday night at the Angry Beaver. Some really young cats that are amazing. And like I said, the Allen Thistle is like a staple that's been going forever. There's Mojams Monday. They get jazzy sometimes. It's more of a funk thing, but there's so many.
Yeah, Karen over there.
Yeah, and Morgan. Yeah, so many great musicians in Seattle, and for this album, I was just kind of inspired by them more than anything, you know.
Well, let's since you have your keyboard there, would you mind playing a little tune for us?
Okay, I'm gonna try and do something here. Like I said, I mostly play drums on the album.
Yeah,
I mostly wrote the songs on piano. So
okay,
this is a song called "The Queen of Sheba."
I heard that one and I like it. That was like one of my favorites that I listened to.
Nice. all right.
Yes, I
Something
like that.
Like I said, Eric Verlindy's a much better piano player than me. That's why he played piano and I played drums on that album. But yeah. That's the gist of that one. You know, I was just inspired by, at the time when I was writing these things a lot, I would just get inspired by like history and different cultures and different stories and just be like, this is what this sounds like to me, you know? Like, and yeah. And as you said, you saw some of my videos. I've got videos where I animate like historical relics and stuff that relate to the stories. I need to make a video for that one. But yeah. Most people know the story of the Queen of Sheba. I don't know if you're not familiar with it. It's like I think it was King Solomon or King David. Now I can't remember. Supposedly, like took the Ark of the Covenant and went to Ethiopia, and supposedly they had like a romance. Him and the Queen of Sheba, and all the descendants and or a lot of the descendants in Ethiopia are like the descendants of King David, King Solomon. I'm bad with my history. I don't remember. But yeah, and the Queen of Sheba. So yeah, this is about that story in any case.
Very cool. So do you write all your music?
Yeah, all the songs on this album. For sure, I wrote. But like I said, this one, it's just that sketch. I mean, it was two bars. There's this, and then there's this.
That's my favorite part right there.
Thank you. And that's it. So that's like, you know,
wow.
Somehow it's like a 10-minute track, you know. So that just I wanted to bring in things that would just showcase these people's talent. And I figured the less I wrote, the more that would happen. You know?
I like that approach because I feel like it's organic, and like you said, it's like it just kind of flows naturally. You don't do a bunch of rehearsing to make it perfect, and you know, and I think that definitely it comes through. You know, people like that, just kind of you just naturally kind of groove to something. So talk about, you mentioned Allen Thistle. What are some of your favorite venues? We know that's probably one of them, but any other places that you played, either in Seattle or somewhere else that you know you really liked?
Oh man, so many different clubs. There's so many clubs. I also have a rock and roll band, the Winter Shakers, and in Seattle, I've played more clubs with them than with the Jazz Lizzards. We've only had one show at the Allen Thistle, but with my other band, Columbia City Theater. I love Columbia City Theater. That's like, when I moved to Seattle, I went to the Columbia City Theater and I'm like, I want to play here. That place is so beautiful. It's like,
beautiful.
Got the red curtains, and it's got so much history. I think Jimi Hendrix has played there, and I think Bob Dylan's played there. And man, if I'm not wrong, maybe Ella Fitzgerald, Count Basie.
Yes. Way back in
So you're on that stage and you're somehow part of all that, you know.
Yeah.
So I love Columbia City Theater. There's a lot of cool clubs. The Sunset Tavern, Connor Byrne. Connor Byrne's a great club in Ballard.
Oh, I haven't been there.
Oh yeah, they have like a lot of open mics and
okay.
different kinds of bands. A lot of rock and roll bands go through there. It's a cool bar though.
Yeah.
Right on Ballard Ave. Right where they have like the farmers market.
Oh, I know where that is. Okay, I've never noticed that. I'll have to check that out.
You know, I used to make Seattle my venue. I would just take my drums and I would set up at the farmers market there in Ballard. I used to play at Green Lake, like every chance I got. I would just set up my drums. There's some videos if you search on Instagram and stuff that people have made of me. I would just set up my drums at Green Lake and jam and just practice out. I've
probably seen you there. I used to go to Green Lake a lot and just walk and like put on, you know, either put on my headphones or I'd bike around there and stuff. So I bet I used to see musicians out there from time to time.
Sometimes people would join me, but I'd play a lot alone. I would just put out my snare drum case for money. I think I'd make I think the most I ever made is like $15 or something. And you know, sometimes somebody throwing a 10 or something. Right. You know? But the thing with busking at Green Lake is most people are there to like jog around or something. They don't even bring their money. They don't, you know.
Right, that's a good point, right? They don't have their purse or their wallet.
But it wasn't about the money. I played in Pike Place Market, just on the street, playing drums. So I
love
Pike all over. As far as jazz, I actually grew up on the East Coast. I grew up in New Jersey, long time ago. I haven't lived there in almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
But I grew up in New Jersey, and when we were too young to be doing this, we would go into New York City, and there's a great jazz club there called Smalls. So that was like my first jamming experiences, would be staying up all night and playing at Smalls in New York. And I mean, the jams, they would have the house band, and then the jam session wouldn't start until like 1 a.m, and it wouldn't end until 6 a.m. So we'd be up all night and then going back to high school, like, you know.
So you were serious about your craft, which is why you're so good. You know, you started early.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some good musicians there too. I probably shouldn't have been playing with them, but everybody was cool, and they would be like, "Yeah, you could sit in on a tune," and then after a tune, they're like, "Okay, let this guy play."
Yeah, yeah.
Go back to high school. Stop staying up all night.
Very different than here, right? I'm sure you noticed, like, our clubs here close at like 1:45 or something.
Yeah,
they close so early.
I don't know how it is right now because things are so weird, but I mean, New York is an all night thing. At some point, I wanted to live there, and I realized that like I couldn't, because every time I would visit for a night, it would just destroy me. I'd be up all night, and just like, I love that kind of lifestyle a little too much. It's like you got to be like rich and be able to sleep till 4 p.m. every day.
That's what everybody
not have a job.
Yeah. You know, I went to. It's been years. It's probably been back in like '98 was when I last went to New. No, it was 2003. I went to New York to visit a friend, and she took me to this nightclub, and the name escapes me, but they had like tiers, like 4 or 5 tiers, different floors. And I thought it was the coolest thing. I've never seen anything like that here. It's like one floor was like, you know, reggae music. Another floor was jazz. Another floor was like R&B, hip hop. You know, another floor was like grunge. You know.
Yeah.
And they were open till like 6 or 7 a.m. And that was so much fun. I was like, we don't have like stuff like this here in Seattle.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 2 places that make me think of that it might have been was like there was a place called Wetlands. I actually saw like P-Funk All-Stars, not George Clinton, but I saw like the P-Funk All-Stars there once, and Michelle was playing bass with them. And then there's a place called the Knitting Factory that's got floors like that with different, but there's probably tons of clubs like that in New York.
Yeah, it's been so long, I can't recall, but I just remember I thought it was so cool, and in fact at like 4:35 a.m. they rolled out like this table and put like breakfast, like bagels and muffins and stuff. I'm like, what? Get out.
I don't know how people can function the next day, you know?
Right. How do you go to work the next day? You know?
Right. Exactly.
Well, okay, so now what are you working on now? So you just released the Jazz Lizzards. Are you working on anything else, you know, or are you just gonna kind of chill for a minute, and are you gonna come back to Seattle soon?
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, I'm actually here in Montana. I never thought I'd be in Montana, but I'm here in Bozeman, Montana. I was teaching at a preschool. I was the music teacher at a preschool in Bellevue when COVID happened, and I could play some of those songs. I would play, you know, like The Wheels on the Bus.
Yeah.
5 Little Ducks.
Did you like a jazzy version of it?
No, I would do it pretty straightforward, you know, Baby Beluga and stuff.
That's so cute.
I was actually having a blast with that, but when COVID happened, they shut that down along with everything else. And I figured it was a good time. You know, everything happens for a reason, and by no way do I mean that COVID is good in any way or anything about it is good, but things happen for a reason. And I said, this is like a good time for me to go back and get a music education degree, because I had realized over the years that like I'd want to be a regular music teacher in a school, because I'd be doing private lessons, driving up and down the 5, like one student in Magnolia at 3, and then the next student is like in Columbia City at 4, and I'm just like in traffic. And just like, it'd be better to just go to one place and teach a bunch of students. Yeah. So I decided that it was a good time to get my music ed degree. So I went back and I got that. And
congratulations.
Thank you. Now I'm teaching for the past 2 months, I've been teaching middle school choir, which is cool because I get to work on my
How's that
singing.
working with middle schoolers?
Oh man, it's
Is it challenging?
no, they're cool. They're sometimes you have to get like authoritative and be like,
Sure.
stop, do not hit him, that kind of
Right.
overall, they're really sweet kids. I really like the age. They're cool. But
you seem like you'd be a cool like music teacher. Like I'm sure they love you. You have that cool vibe.
Thank you. I appreciate. They all tell me I look like Jack Black.
I don't see.
Yeah, I don't know. I had longer hair.
Maybe slightly.
I had longer hair up until last week.
Yeah.
So maybe that's okay. And I need to lose some weight. But anyway,
don't we all?
Starting in a couple weeks, I've got a 3-month thing. My next job is going to be elementary school.
Okay.
So that's going to be interesting, teaching elementary school music. So
I think that's so, what a rewarding job. Like to be able, because that's obviously your passion. And to be able to teach that to a younger generation. And you never know, there might be a little Jeremy in there who, wants to play drums and what, and you're reaching out and touching these kids and teaching them. And I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I was a little unsure when I went into the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just almost something to do and something I thought like maybe I should pursue this, but I was still a little on the fence, But now I'm like, I'm all in. I'm really loving being a teacher. It's cool, and hopefully I can sometime soon. Yeah, I have to start looking at job openings in Seattle, but hopefully my dream is to come back and get a job teaching somewhere. I'm sure Roosevelt and well, we'd
love to have you back, and when you guys make it back, I want to come see you guys perform live.
Yeah. Well, I've been back and forth a bunch to play gigs. In the meantime, it's like an hour plane ride. It's really nothing. So
so it's pretty fast.
I've been trying to come back as much as I can. My other band, I got my fingers crossed. My other band, I think, is gonna hopefully play folk life. I haven't heard back yet, but
are they bringing folk life back? I didn't know that.
I probably just jinxed myself by saying it because I haven't heard back yet.
Okay. I bet they are. Things are lifting. And you said something interesting earlier. Like you said, you're not saying that like COVID was, what like making light of it. But the thing I found about COVID, the good thing about it, if there is a good thing about it, mm-hmm. is when I talk to like my artist friends and people in so many different forms of especially arts types of professions, the common theme I heard was it forced them to be creative, right? Like, because they couldn't play the live venues. And so I had, several, artist friends that started doing stuff online, or they spent that time to, finally record that album they've been wanting to do and things like that. So it kind of forced us to take a step down for a minute, breathe and say, okay, wait, I got to regroup. And how do I keep pushing forward and doing what I'm doing?
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, now I'm, potentially going to be a teacher. And that's the hardest thing about being a musician is like paying your rent, So like, I can't wait. Hopefully one day I can do my 9 to 5 and it's a meaningful job where I'm teaching kids. And then you've got your nights open to play gigs and you've got this, the summer open to go on tour or if that's your thing or play more gigs or record an album, all that stuff. Yeah. So,
very cool. So okay. We're almost out of time, but before we go, I like to play a little game with my guests. So we get to kind of a get to know you kind of thing. It's you probably familiar with it. It's two truths and a lie. And so what I want you to do is tell me 3 things and 2 of them will be true. And one will not be true. It can be anything about, your life, your career, whatever. And I'm going to try to guess which one is not true.
Okay. I've seen your show and I should have been prepared for this, but I totally forgot. So these are just off the top of my head.
No problem. We like the spontaneity, remember?
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a jazz musician. I should be able to come up with some stuff. Okay. This LaCroix, I call them LaCroix. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. This LaCroix or LaCroix is about a third filled with vodka.
Oh, okay.
I hate. Oh, wait. 2 truths and 1 lie. Oh, man. I'm getting
Yeah, 2 truths and 1 lie.
I love avocados.
I actually really do love avocados.
Okay. And the name of my other band, if you're interested to check out, is called The Winter Shakers.
The Winter Shakers. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to guess. I know the Winter Shakers is true.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that. I'm going to guess that you do actually hate avocados and there is vodka in that can.
I got you. There's no vodka. No vodka.
No vodka? Oh, dirty.
I love avocados. I put them on everything. Gotcha.
Oh, I love it.
Cool.
It. Well, hey, I'm like, hey, one of those things, there's nothing wrong with it.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate what you do, reaching out to musicians and giving them a place to talk about their music and play music, and that's very cool.
So tell people, give your social media stuff and where they can get your CD and all that.
So both the Winter Shakers, you can go to www.thewintershakers.com, and for the Jazz Lizzards, you can go to thejazzlizzards.com, and from there you can get links to Bandcamp, to find all the albums, to Facebook. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram. All those links are on my websites. So it's a good place to start.
Right on. And I'll post the websites underneath the posting for this show too. So in case you didn't get a chance to catch that. Well, Jeremy, it was so much fun talking to you. I can't wait until you're back in town and come see a live show with you guys. And keep up with the good work, the teaching, and we'll look forward to hearing more music from you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I will keep you posted on what's going on.
Please do. All right. And peeps, be sure to hit me up. IG at MZKC Diva, Facebook, K-Cee Diva or Dish with Diva. And also Nightcap with K-Cee Diva. Be sure to check that out every first Thursday of the month. I'll be back next week. Same time, same place. And you guys have a blessed week. Stay safe out there. All right. All right.